What's up guys, welcome to Monchkinz Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Monchkinz logging in to bring you another Final Fantasy XIV video, and this time we'll be talking about if the monk will get a buff next week. Of course, as if you are following Final Fantasy XIV, you know that Omega Savage is going to be released next week. So in hoping of getting some buffs or nerfs on other classes, this video will be concentrating around monk itself, and I'm still hoping that the monk community will be heard and get the buffs that they need. Now before I do start, I just want to make a disclaimer that I have made a video before that the reasons why I changed to samurai, and I think a lot of people gave me sort of hate with that. It's probably my most poorly disliked video, and I still sort of stand by it. I didn't dislike monk. I was disappointed in it. And later in the video, sorry, in another video I made in Forgive Me Monk Community, is where I finally got my monk to level 70. And I did say I still enjoy playing it, and honestly I'm still better at playing monk than a samurai, and I do have to admit that yes, I do find it extremely fun to play monk, and I may be torn between the two at this point in time. So I made the first video without getting my monk to level 70. Just by looking at it, I'm like, it's just a sort of my initial impression that I was kind of disappointed in all the skills that we got. So if you guys are one of those people that hated me for it, I'm sorry, but I still stand by that the monk probably got the short end of the stick in this expansion, which I felt that we were the job that will get more buffs, because Stormblood is basically showing the monk as the premier job. So with that in mind, let's get on with the video. So the first thing is, are we getting buffs? And I do believe monks will get buffs in the next patch. But in deep down, I feel that it won't be any extreme potency buffs. I don't think they're gonna give us potency buffs. I think they might give us more quality of life. If you guys have been following monk for a long time, Square Enix has been mainly giving monks more quality of life buffs rather than potency buffs itself. Sure, we did get Howling Fist as a, I would say, a buff. I think a couple of patches in the Heaven's Ward, we did get an increased potency on that. But otherwise, it's more quality of life here or there. So with that in mind, I thought, I'm not gonna be talking about potency buffs, but more quality of life stuff for the monk. And of course, I'll still be talking about skills that I feel are not worth it or kind of useless in a way. And yeah, it's gonna be ranty, so if you guys don't like ranting, you can leave the video right now. So let's start off with our level 62 skill. It's not really a skill, because at level 62 we do get a trait, and it's called Deep Meditation. It grants us 50% of that chakra to open up every time we deal a critical damage with a weapon skill. Now I feel Deep Meditation is fine as it is, and they may buff it in some way, but I feel Deep Meditation is enough. It's 50% chance when you hit a crit. Some people might think, well, maybe it can add the auto attack in, but I think that's gonna be too OP. So if they do that with the auto attacks, I feel they will have to lower down the percentage of your getting chakra. So moving on, we've got the level 64 skill Riddle of Earth, which I think confused a lot of the monks here, because Riddle of Earth basically says it has an additional effect which extends Grease Lightning during the maximum time. It doesn't actually say you have to get hit before it activates the additional effect. So this is a bit of a controversy skill, really, because why would you have to get hit for it to have effect? That's what I initially thought, and I still stand by that thought, because there are some situations where you probably don't want to get hit, but you lose Grease Lightning. In my head right now, I'm thinking of the Shisui last final boss fight, where you can use Riddle of Earth, but you have to get hit by when she pops out of the water, basically, and you'll get a vulnerability up because of that. And I don't want to encourage, I don't think they want to encourage, sorry, I don't think they want to encourage people to actually get hit just for an extra DPS. And sometimes those hits that, you know, that you do end up taking, it either gives you a debuff, such as the vulnerability up, or a damage down. So basically, you're kind of losing the effects of the Grease Lightning in some way, especially if you get a you know, damage down debuff. So I'm kind of really torn as to why they did this, and I hope, honestly, they explain it a little better. Especially, it just says extends Grease Lightning duration to maximum for an additional effect. It doesn't really explain, and I thought really once you pop the skill, that will extend the Grease Lightning duration. Now, the way they can do this is probably make it so you can activate the additional effect straight away once you use the skill, but they have to increase the recast timer. So I mean, looking at it now, it's 60 seconds to recast, so there is that going for it. I mean, they can extend it to maybe 2 minutes, so you know, we don't really lose Grease Lightning a lot. The places that we do lose it is usually like phase changes, so 2 minutes is probably a good timer for it. And I believe if they do something with that as well, they can probably reduce down the recast timer for Perfect Balance as well. I mean, Perfect Balance has been in 3-minute cooldown since 2.0, and it's really annoying that it takes 3 minutes to basically get your Grease Light, you know, your Perfect Balance up. They need some balance, no pun intended, between the two. So that's my idea for Riddle of Earth. Either they basically lets you activate it straight away and then just increase the recast timer. So, and then the additional effect is basically the reduced damage taken by 10% on top of the Fist of Earth that is already 10%. Now, I think that's it for Riddle of Earth. If you guys can think of anything else that they can do with the skill, please leave a comment below. So at level 66 we get the worst skill ever, Tackle Mastery, which gives you Earth Tackle, Wind Tackle, Riddle of Wind, and Fire Tackle. Now basically this stance, well, the stance that you use will differ what sort of shoulder tackle you will get. And I must say this is the most disappointing skill in all of them. And for those who want to defend this skill, just take a good look at yourself and just think, you know, why they actually implemented this skill. It's like One Ilm Punch. It's a skill that about 99% of the time you're not going to use. So especially in the PvE situation, maybe in PvP you can sort of use this, but PvE wise, this skill is kind of useless. Earth Tackle is useless. It has lower potency, and you'll have a lower potency because you're in Fist of Earth. The knockback, there's no reason to knock back anything unless you're in solo dungeon. Wind Tackle is very situational, and you're not going to use it 99% of the time. So, and you do lose potency. Now, sorry, you do lose DPS with this, because even though both Wind Tackles, if you add them, it adds about the same potency as Fire Tackle. However, because you are in Fist of Wind, you do lose the Fist of Earth 5% extra damage. So don't go saying it's the same thing. It's the same potency, sure, but you do lose the Fist of Fire 5% attack. So basically you're going to be using Fire Tackle most of the time, and you can just time your Fire Tackle once you know the entire fight. Basically, once you know the fight, it'll be easier for you to time when to use shoulder tackle. So I'm sorry if you guys are going to defend this, but I'm not going to change my stance that this is quite a useless skill, and we should have gotten something else, maybe some other utility other than Brotherhood or Mantra, and then they can justify the lowering down of DPS of the monk. If they do that, I would have been fine. If they gave us another utility, I would have been fine and said, yeah, sure, that justifies lowering down the monk's DPS overall. So, I mean, a way to change this, honestly, I don't know. I just want them to scratch this skill altogether and just come up with a new one. I'm not a big PvP person, so I'm not sure how well this will be in PvP. So if you guys are PvPers, leave a comment below and let me know if you actually use these skills. So I mean, that's all I can think of. They could just scratch the skill altogether in PvE and, you know, think of something else. So next one is Riddle of Fire. Now, Riddle of Fire is a unique skill that we do get 30% more extra damage, but we do get an increase in weapon skill recast time, total of 15%, which sort of brings you up to having no grease lightning at all. So I mean, I would have liked it if we still sort of have a faster weapon skill recast time than having no grease lightning at all. I would have liked it maybe they should have just increased it to 10%. That way it's sort of like you've got grease lightning. But overall, I think most monks feel that this skill actually removes what a monk represents. So monks are usually very quick with their recast timers and very consistent damage, but Riddle of Earth makes us into a burst job. Just like the Dragoon is a burst job, monk became a burst job as well. So honestly, that's all I can think of for Riddle of Earth, is basically just maybe reducing down the recast timer by another 5%, or, you know, increase the duration a little bit. But I don't think it will be touched as much other than the other skills. So moving on with the last skill, Brotherhood. Now this is our sort of like the new bread and butter, and this is probably the reason why people will bring us to raids. It does give all physical damage party members an extra 5% attack, and also grants us another 30% chance. Also grants us 30% chance to opening chakra, which we can use Forbidden Chakra. Now, a lot of people probably thought that 30% is a little bit low, and sometimes you don't get anything at all, and sometimes you get 1 or 2, maybe 3, and depending on your party composition, you know, it'll depend how much chakra you get. So in saying that, I'm not entirely sure that Brotherhood will get buffed in some way, because I feel like it's well balanced. The duration can probably extend a little bit longer, because you know, with dodging mechanics and everything else, you probably not gonna be able to maximize this skill. But that's just me. I feel like it is quite balanced, so 5% probably isn't a lot, you know, but I do feel if you compare to trick attack, which is like, I believe it's still 10% for 10 seconds. So I mean, 15 seconds of 5% increased attack. I mean, you'll have your tanks, 2 tanks, and probably 1 melee and probably 1 bard usually in your party composition. So I do feel it is enough. So there's like 4 members who have 15 seconds of 5% extra physical attack. So I think that's it. So that's it for this video, guys. I think I've covered all of the new skills, the monk, and you know, I feel that those are probably the changes that I want, and hopefully we do get a buff in some way, you know. But yeah, leave a comment below what you think of the different buffs that we may get. I'd like to know what other people are thinking, you know. And yeah, that's it for this video. Remember to click like, subscribe, and share this video if you find it helpful at all. As always, I would like to hear from you guys, and I just said what I want to hear from you guys is basically what you guys think of the different buffs we'll get next week. Also follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Monchkinz Gaming. This is Monchkinz logging off, and I'll see you guys in the next level.